All right. What's up, Billy Bolt? Welcome to the World Hard Enduro podcast, man.
Thank you for having us. Nice to be here.
Yes, dude. It's so good to have you on the podcast. Such a legend in pretty much all disciplines on an off-road motorcycle. The number 57, I was actually, just before we got on this call, I was thinking about it. You've been running that number for such a long time now. Where did that number actually come from, 57?
There's actually no real significance to it, to be honest. As somewhat disappointing as an answer that is. I knew from when I started enduro, there was a whole idea to hopefully this becomes successful and there's, somewhat of a brand can be built of it. So I was pretty well aware that it would kind of make sense to have a number. And that was just, again, it's what I'd picked. Obviously played like MX versus ATV growing up or whatever, because as a trials rider, like my whole life, so we don't really have set numbers in trials and stuff like that. When I changed to enduro, I had to pick one, and for some reason, like I say, I have no real significance to it, but 57 was always what I picked when I played video games or whatever. So it just kind of made sense. We obviously thought about it. I weighed up a few other options, but it kind of rolled off the tongue somewhat nicely and stuff like that. So,
yeah, sick. And I think the 7 works quite well with the bolt, kind of designed into it, and that it makes really for a good personal brand. And that you're speaking about trials bikes now. How long did you actually ride trials before you stepped onto the enduro bikes?
So I did trials. When I was 7, I started off just normally like a LT50, PW50. And then I did actually like 3 or 4, I think, schoolboy motocross races just on like a 50 in the auto class. But my parents didn't really like the motocross scene or like the atmosphere around the schoolboy motocross, which kind of going back now, 20 years later, I can fully understand why they weren't too keen on that environment. So then, got put on the trials bike when I was 7. Didn't really know what trials was, to be honest, at all up until that point. It was actually one of my dad's good friends whose son rode that said, bring him along and have a look at this or give this a go. So from 7 until 19, I think I did nothing but trials. I always followed and watched pretty much every discipline of motorcycle and motorcycle racing pretty closely. Like, magazines were obviously a lot bigger back then, and we did a lot of driving kind of where I was from in the UK. We had to drive a lot to ride and to train anyway, so spent a lot of time in a car or in a van reading magazines, following just about everything. But at the time just wasn't really kind of financially viable to do anything else other than trials, and already actually from like a few months into doing it, I loved it and I wanted to progress as far as I could. So although I looked at other stuff, it was kind of, I was 100% focused on being the best trials rider I could be.
Yes, man, we see it all the time. The secret sauce to a hard enduro rider, is those formative years of trials bike, man. We just see all the top riders just, I guess you don't ride much trials now. Like we spoke to Uncle Graham not too long ago on the podcast, and he shared with us that he doesn't ride his trials bike anymore, and but does make such a important step towards that hard enduro and getting those techniques and those foundational stages of life. And I mean, with you as well, like, it's pretty clear that that is definitely the thing that, well, I would say, pole vaulted you into like where you are now with your career.
I think it does just give you such a base level of skills to kind of go off and do whatever you want with it, really. I think obviously, there's a limit of you need to then go and learn other things, but the foundations it gives you really just does give you such a good head start into things. And I think just the way, also kind of from a mentality side of things, or not so much mentality, but how you like look at things, how you read terrain, it's a lot more kind of calm and slow paced sport. It's pretty much like the opposite of racing. I was kind of a little bit of a hothead, and my temper kind of what ruined my trials career. But at the same time, just coming from that world, I think gives you a different perspective on a lot of things, which is sometimes overlooked when everyone just thinks, oh yeah, you've spent years hopping around on your back wheel, or riding up slippy streams and riverbeds. It also there's definitely a lot more to it, but yeah, on the whole, it does just give you such a good springboard to go off and do whatever you want on two wheels, full stop, really.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, man, it's really cool to hear. Then I guess that the British trials bike, or kind of the UK trials bike scene, is quite big because, from South Africa, it's not that big. So not many people jump onto a trials bike, or, have even the opportunity to really like test themselves with the trials bike. It's usually straight onto a big bike. You're racing off-road, kind of hooking it junior national style. So I guess the scene in that side of the world is quite big. I mean, you see Johnny, Graham, yourself, Dougie Lampkin, Paul Bolton, pretty much all the names, coming through through that scene. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it is. It's that, just knowing the bit of kind of the South African way of things that I do know, it's definitely quite the opposite. You'll do well to find a trials bike in South Africa, and definitely you wouldn't find a kids one. So it is. I'm somewhat out of touch, to be honest. I don't know if it's still like that, but at least when I was a kid, it was, really strong. And yeah, like I progressed relatively quickly. I was doing I wasn't that good, but I was doing kind of British Championship events and stuff after like 2 or 3 years. And then it was like, they were quite a big thing. There was, I would say, like 20, 30 riders per class in like the British kind of schoolboy trials championship. And it was a whole scene, really. And I think, I'm pretty good friends with a lot of the people from there. A lot of them have also come over to hard enduro as well. But yeah, like it gave me kind of such a good start, and I'm pretty grateful to come from that background, to be honest.
Yeah, Jack Price is a name that comes to mind when you say that transfer, like in the later stages, a guy that's also extremely good on a trials bike, moving on to the enduro and doing some of the extreme enduro, hard enduro scene and stuff. But let's fast forward it to like 2024 last year, a roller coaster season, man. Yesterday, I mean, you've absolutely did a fantastic job winning the Super Enduro Championship, even after sustaining a severe injury in Germany. Then, taking that time off to get the operation done, healing up, having your wedding, and officially like doing getting married and that. So I think that's pretty cool. And then coming back to the Hard Enduro World Championship, just entering the last 2 rounds, Sea to Sky and then Hispania. Sea to Sky looked like a tough race. It looked like you got a little bit heated there on that last hill. I think social media kind of blew up with that, with seeing your reaction in that last hill.
That's not the first time that's happened either, sadly. But yeah, pretty much. But no, it was a wild year, to be honest. All over the place in terms of highs, lows. But I mean, obviously there was lows, injured and prolonged periods off the bike and stuff. But yeah, looking back, it was a good year. I can't really have too many complaints. And then to come back to the last 2 rounds and kind of do as well as I did really was a nice way to end. Because like I said, I mean, I don't want to dramatize or like get too doom and gloom, but there was like a good few months without riding, and wasn't the most enjoyable time. But yeah, so to come back and just show that, I was still relevant and still could, ride compete and break my streak was a nice way to end the year.
I like how you say irrelevant, man. You completely wiped it out at Hispania, taking the W there. Like that's not relevant, bro. That's right on top of the box there. That was a phenomenal ride, and so cool to see you back. So cool to see also your reaction and just the people around you to know that it was kind of a little bit of a time for you just to take a rest, get the injuries sorted out, and make sure that you're all ready to go for the next Super Enduro season, which we're currently in now. Which again, you've just absolutely cleaning. I don't think you've lost a not a race, not a heat race, but I don't think you've lost a would you call it a race, like hungry, like
I guess
overall.
an overall.
Yeah, you haven't lost the overall for the last 2 year now. So like last year was a clean year. This year's seems like it's going that way as well. So it's been a pretty good going for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't complain too much. And just on last year as well, I mentioning like the other people, the team and stuff. Obviously, I had the knee off and the time off from my knee, and then kind of breaking my hand kind of really just prolonged the time it took to come back. Like I was, really had my mind set on being back by TKO and, doing, building throughout the end of the year, because it had been so long since I'd had a kind of healthy hard enduro championship year that I wanted to build as much as possible going into last year. So it was kind of, I added to everyone's kind of frustration the fact that we had to miss like 3 more races, I think it was, in a good few more months. So just to get that last win before everyone disappears for winter was nice to reassure myself that I can still do this, but also to show remind everyone that it was worth the wait to be back healthy and to hopefully have a good showing this year.
Yeah, it's good to see you back, and I think I can speak on behalf of a lot of people that really enjoy watching you ride an off-road bike. We're speaking about injuries now. Like, I mean, you've been very unfortunate to sustain some serious injuries over this like kind of short period. Or I would call your career pretty short. I mean, it's been 5 years or 6 years of like World Championship racing. What is it that you've learned from these injuries? Is it something that you are constantly thinking about when you get on the bike now? Like maybe you don't need to push it as hard as you could, because you know that you could probably do most sections or big doubles or triples inside a super enduro race or big log sections. Are you thinking of it differently now? Or like, are you coming into it going like, okay, maybe I don't need to get a second on that section. Let me rather try and save myself. Or is it still full send?
Nah, that doesn't really enter my head, to be honest. I think I'm just not really wired up that way. I mean, I would say maybe it's very marginally more cautious with things I do off the bike, because I'm not going to lie, some of those injuries were kind of self-inflicted, doing things I didn't need to be doing. So there has been definitely some marginal maturing going on in off motorbike activities. But when I'm at a race or when I'm on a bike, that injuries or what's gone on doesn't enter my head. I'm going to give 100%. Regardless, qualifying, practice, free practice, a race, whether I'm fighting to lead, whether I've got a 40-second lead or it's gone wrong and I'm in 6th place, like I'm going to give the same amount of effort, or my mentality doesn't change. Yeah.
Do you think that's also from the people around you, like Roxy and Stan and the guys around you, trying to kind of guide you as well? Like trying to say, like, were you saying that you're thinking about it marginally different? Are they, I guess they inside your corner going like, Billy, you probably don't need to do that. And you're going, no, I have to do this. I need to hit this.
Yes and no. I think that hasn't changed. I've had a good, amazing group of people around us for a while now, so that's not something new for them to be doing that, but they also know that I listen to kind of what I want to listen to, or take what I want to take from those conversations. So like they know me well enough to know like, okay, it's probably not even worth mentioning something right now. But like I said, at the same time, there's also times when they have maybe said one or two things and it's somewhat entered where it needed to enter.
Yeah, and you've accepted it the way that it should be accepted. And
exactly. I mean, like I say, I've done some stupid things, but it's there's majority of time there's been lessons learned from it.
Yeah, and I mean, from a spectator point of view, it's good to watch. I mean, not the injuries for sure, but it's good to see when those sections do come together the way that you've envisioned them in your mind. for us sitting on the sideline watching you, it's like, what on earth just happened? Because that was incredible. It really is something that makes many people speechless, I think, the way that you operate that and control that motorcycle. But we speak about the Hard Enduro, the 24 season, moving into 2025. You healthy. You've got a couple, I think, 8 rounds. How many rounds do you have left in Super Enduro? Maybe 4 or 3?
3 rounds left.
3 rounds left. So after
2
3
rounds left. I'm lying. There's 2 rounds left. Newcastle and France. We've had a busy few weeks. I don't know when this will be out, but we've had a busy period up to this point, and then a 3-week break now, and then 2 rounds consecutive weekends at the start of March.
So then as soon as that's done and dusted, then, outdoors starts coming into play. Do you have any thoughts about what your plan is for 2025? A lot of people in the comments are going to say, the championship isn't decided. There's issues with what's going on. They don't even know if there is a championship. But let's just say that everything goes ahead as planned and that, it is the same as usual. What are your thoughts for the 2025 season?
Yeah, Super Enduro, Hard Enduro starts this week, to be honest. I'm testing 2 strokes tomorrow and the next day because, I want to take a little bit of time off just straight after the Super Enduro season's finished. Decided to do some testing this week because we need to make decisions on a few things which need to already be ordered kind of before I want to start the real prep. But 2 days this week, testing 2 strokes, and then regarding the championship or what happens, whether there's a championship or not, we're going to be at the races regardless. We've already kind of discussed that, as a team and stuff like that. Obviously it's nice to be working towards an FIM World Championship and to be competing in a World Championship, but at the same time, there's a lot of good races, and there's the races are going to happen regardless, I feel like. So, I've still got races and goals for races with or without it being in a championship. So my preparation doesn't really change, to be honest. Like I say, we're going to have a couple of weeks off after post Super Enduro, and then it's kind of all systems go to really try and make a good effort at a Hard Enduro Championship, or at least staying healthy and having a proper attempt at a Hard Enduro Championship, because I've kind of feel like I've robbed myself of having a proper attempt at it for the last few years, which is kind of the most frustrating part of it all. Yeah.
Are you excited to be back on the 2-stroke and going outdoors? Like I know some races like Erzberg, Romaniacs. I'm not too sure. I should have done my research, but I'm not too sure if you've gotten a win in Erzberg yet. I think it's the one that you're looking for, or you're searching for. So I think these are the races that you're just trying to get done, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I am excited, to be honest, to get back riding outdoors. I do really enjoy the contrast between summer and winter that we have. It does get a little bit busy just to really come into both prepared. It kind of just, you don't really get an off season, which is, I'm getting somewhat older now, and a couple of weeks free would be nice. But at the end of the day, I enjoy the fact that we have such a contrast, and I'm at the point now where I'm kind of itching to get back outdoors and start improving. Manny's set a bar which is pretty high right now. Sure. So improvements need to be made to try and catch up. Like I say, I feel like it's been a little while since I've given myself a really fair shot at taking it to him. So the thought of kind of getting stuck back in and training and getting back at the level I need to be there does definitely excite me.
Yeah, we're speaking to Wade on the podcast, and Mario and him had some words as Xpania, and Wade was telling him that he's coming for him, and Manny was just like, yeah, I'm waiting for you, let's go, and I think that Manny's, as you said, set the bar super high. He's I wouldn't say comfortable. I think he's definitely working hard all the time to make sure that he can stay on top. But with what you did in Xpania, and then also showing us in Sea to Sky in 2024, you definitely one of the guys to take it to him for this 25 season. So all things considered, having a healthy season, getting those big races like Romaniacs, which is usually one of the races that's really tough to beat Manny at because he's just so efficient on that motorcycle. If you get all of that in play and you get the shorter, because if I'm not mistaken, I feel this is just my observation, is that you enjoy those shorter, like snappier races a lot more than those multi-day rally style races. I could be wrong. Is that the feeling that you have?
No, yeah, you're not too far away. Like, definitely in the past, I was all in favor of the shorter races. I think in the last couple of years, again, I don't even remember the last time I was healthy for Romania. So I really feel I made a lot of progress at that race, because in the early days I was absolutely terrible. Like, it was borderline a waste of time me even turning up. But yeah, like the last few years I really did make progress. Like, I've had day wins in Romania. I've had, made big improvements. It's just I haven't really shown, I feel like, the level of improvements I have made just from, kind of not being healthy. I think obviously last year I didn't race. The year before, I was in third until the final day, and then Teo overtook us on the last day. But I came in having separated my shoulder like a month before, and like didn't ride at all for the previous month. So just energy levels were gone. Like, I already knew midway through the third day, I'm like, wow, this podium's pretty much gone, and I know like what my body's kind of capable of, or I've got a good understanding now of what's what. So yeah, like I say, I mean, the past definitely didn't love the long races, but now I'm kind of pretty 50-50 really. Like, I think in terms of how I think a championship should be structured is kind of a different answer, but the actual fact of being at the races and stuff like that, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the survival part of it in the places it puts you. So I say, that's my real goal for the year, is to just arrive healthy and give myself a fair shot at each race that we turn up at.
Yeah, let's go, bro. I'm super stoked for this 25 season. It's going to be a good one. You're talking about how the championship was structured, and it's something that we've spoken about a few times on the podcast. Now that we are kind of in this uncertain stage with the championship, it could be, and the way that I'm looking at it is that it's a really good time to reset, learn from mistakes in the past, and really just push forward for the future and try and like create, learn from the mistakes, as I said, and just create the championship that the riders and the fans are looking for. And that's, when you look at Getson Rodeo 2023, and you see the spectatorship there and the viewership and what actually happened there, holy cow, that was insane. 10,000 spectators lining the banks of a hard enduro race, watching the top riders in the world going head to head. Very contrast and very different from 4 days in the Romania Carpathian Mountains, where you don't even see anyone for 4 or 5 hours in a day, except if it's a competitor. What do you, I guess this is a bit of a loaded question, but what are your thoughts about the structure of a championship?
I don't think we've got enough time for a full answer of that question.
Okay.
But, no, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head to me. Just even bringing Getson up, like, to me, you just have such a good example, a perfect example of how an event can work. And I get that the sport came from these mass participation races and everyone raced on the same track and hundreds, thousands of entries together. Like, I fully get that that's where the sport came from. But at some point, to me, it just things have to realize that, like, this is now a professional sport. It's an FIM World Championship. That needs to be consistency. There needs to be structure throughout races, for riders, from riders' perspective, and also from spectators, to get new eyes on the sport, really. And to me, like, the shorter format, it's spectators can come and watch. They can view the whole race. So there's ticket money from spectators. The whole race can be live streamed start to finish, so people can watch at home. They can understand what's going on. Like, it's however long you want to make the race plus a lap. First person to cross the finish line after that, the time is up, is the winner. However you want to do it. Then they can tune in the next week and it's the same round. Like, at the minute, I feel like someone watches a race for the first time in Erzberg, the dash to the finish line, the sprint to the finish line, first person crosses the flag, wins the race. Okay, great. They watch the next race and it's a rally. It's 4 days long. Maybe he's the first person to cross the finish line, doesn't win the race because it goes off corrected time. Like, there's just so many variables, let alone the fact that it's the same amount of championship points whether you race for 25 hours in Romania as you do for 2 hours at Erzberg. Like, it's hard, and I fully get, like I say, that's where the sport came from. But to me, if you head into that single format, the other races don't go away. They're still going to happen. Like, Romania is still going to be such an amazing event for hobby riders to go and do. They're still going to get the most value for money in terms of the riding they get. We're still going to go and do it. If anything, it's now, there's not going to be part of the championship, so the race organisers are almost going to compete to get the riders there. So then prize money comes back into play and stuff like that. Like, to me, I feel like the idea that the riders don't want the long races or whatever in the championship is taken as like a plot to get rid of them races, when that's not at all what we're trying to do. We're just trying to bring some form of structure, because to me, with structure on this kind of low scale, or not low scale, but the smaller scale event where it's only around a couple of days, making the race, a qualifying day and a race day, is easier for privateers. It's less time off work for those, or school for the youth riders. You know, they don't need to rebuild the bike 4 times. They don't need 4 sets of new tires. It just makes it more accessible for people to come and take part in a championship, and easier for people to follow. But like I say, I mean, I feel like it's at a point now where the riders have kind of said it enough. It's like, there's only so many times you can kind of put the same arguments across to people. We'll see what happens. But
I feel you. I think
worth on the situation.
Cheers. I think, I mean, it's not far off from what I've heard from the other riders and what we're thinking also, like from our side, you know, looking into the sport, just to reduce and to lower the barrier of entry, as you said, for new riders to join the championship, as well as hopefully bring more eyes to the sport, more spectators, more sponsors, you know. Then that there is basically, you're trying to create an ecosystem for hard enduro.
Exactly.
And it's,
to me, it's like, for the sport to get bigger, like, it needs to grow financially, and money needs to come into the sport. And to do that, you need sponsors and spectators paying, or a TV package which can be consistent through every round and stuff like that. And like I say, I mean, 100% get that for your hobby rider, he's not going to want to drive to a different country to go and race a 2-hour multi-lap race. But so then, to me, why can't you do a multi-lap race that's a World Championship round alongside a rally that's going on? Do it the weekend before, whatever. Then everyone can go and spectate a race and then race for 4 days. You know, like, there's ways around it. But I get a little bit lost with the decisions that's been made over the last couple of years, to be honest. But I mean, I still have hope that things can get better, because from what I can gather, I mean, all the riders are on the same page. I mean, when I first kind of started to say it, everyone's like, oh, you just don't like doing Romaniacs, blah, 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 which probably was somewhat the case like 4 or 5 years ago when I was making these arguments. But I think everybody's realized, like, this from a financial kind of side of things, not to just always go on about that, but we're not getting any bigger. The sport's not growing. And I think, you know, riders have kind of realized that now. And everyone's opinion that I know of, at least, is for things to grow and to get bigger and to head in the direction we want. It needs to go to that kind of shorter format where there's just consistency.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. Let's see. As I said, I'm trying to be very optimistic and positive about this. We're not intentionally trying to report on this topic to try to bring negativity. We see it as a positive. When things
No,
go wrong,
100%.
then we learn from it, make them go right. You know?
And I think some people are under the impression like, oh, we can do everything by ourselves. We don't need promoters, blah blah blah. And like, I'm not on that wavelength whatsoever. Like, I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, everyone has to work together for this thing to go in the right direction. It needs to. And no one's intentionally making wrong decisions. Like, just because I don't agree with them, it's like it's no one's setting out to not help make the sport grow, and I fully get that as well. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I still have hope that things are gonna push, because at the end of the day, like, look at the profiles of riders we have in the sport, like the athletes we have, and now of like youth class in super enduro, junior classes in hard enduro, like the foundations are there 100% for it to grow. Like, already the profile of rider that we have, and if you see just the followings that each of the individual riders have is pretty amazing, really, for the size of sport we are. Plus now the foundations we have with the youth class, like I say, super enduro, junior class at hard enduro, like it's there's more than enough ingredients for this to be successful and to grow to where it needs to be. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. You were speaking about the riders following and followers and their like kind of social media. Someone that does that really well is yourself, for sure. I mean, what you've done with your Instagram and your YouTube and blowing it up the way that you have, putting so much, like, we can't take for granted how much work actually goes into creating a vlog. It's a big job. It's nothing small to undertaking, or a small undertaking. What does that mean to you actually to grow your YouTube and your Instagram and stuff? Because it's something that you're working really hard on. And do you think that all riders or most riders should try to be doing something like that? Or is it just like something that you feel like you're good at and you're keen on keeping it going?
Well, thank you, first of all, because it is a big effort, like possibly too much effort, like that. Well, I mean, I do go to extreme lengths, but I do that with kind of everything. Like, if I'm going to do something, I want to learn how to be the best at it. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy that side of it, in all honesty. Like, I'm pretty tuned into all of that side of it. Like, I like, I mean, grow. I try hard for things to grow and to make everything the best it can be. But like I say, I mean, I do enjoy that side of it. I think it definitely helps, you know, the value of kind of my overall brand and stuff like that. I think you know, I think everyone should do it of some fashion. Like, I'm definitely to the level that I go to. You couldn't do that if you didn't enjoy doing it, or you didn't want to do it, just because the amount of time I do spend on it. So I think everyone kind of needs to find their own unique way of doing things, because like I say, I mean, I fully get not everyone wants to talk to a camera or wants to spend, you know, hours editing themselves or trying to, you know, do that kind of thing. But I think it's important to kind of portray some message, because otherwise how does your audience know anything about you? Like, even if it's you know, not very like, even if you're putting something out there that's, you know, pretty reclusive or not very engaging or whatever, like, at least that's your personality. Like, if you don't want to be very open about things, do it in that way. Like, I think we're at a day and age now where you kind of have to do that side of stuff, whether people like it or not. But it's kind of important to find the way you enjoy doing it, or way you like to do it, because if everyone just tried to copied everyone and did the same thing, that also there's no personality. Like, you need to find a way to express your personality and do it, have your own unique twist on things. And I think that's when people really start to feel that they want to engage, or that they're kind of invested in kind of following, whether it be the vlogs or the race results, or you know, hopefully they come in from one avenue and then they find a vlog and then he races, let's have a look at the results, and then they follow. Then they go and watch a couple of the races, and then they see it. Because I think our sport's good that a lot of riders do show a lot of personality, and they are very like active online and on social stuff. So then they can then go and see there's X, Y, and Z riders that are also doing stuff. So I think, like I say again, there's so much potential because I think people are very open in our sport, which to me is only a good thing.
Yeah, from our side, that's how we try to engage and how we try to be involved is with our podcast. Is that's the way that we've kind of disseminated this like social media phase of, you know, that we're in, because you know, we realized that there wasn't enough people talking about hard enduro. It's such an underrated sport. It's such a crazy thing that you guys do and that we do, even as amateur riders inside on the every Saturday and Sunday. Like, you fighting, it's shared trauma that we experience out there, you know, pushing bikes up hills and stuff. Hey, everyone becomes mates because of basically battling it out inside the bush. And I don't think people are talking about it enough. So this is our way of trying to give back.
It's also so well documented, to be honest, like that there's almost no reason to kind of not talk about it. Like, it's I'm not trying to say like what you do is easy. Like, I think what you're doing is good, is such a good thing to, you know, bring up topics and to get people discussion things. People might not agree on things, but like the sport is, for how big it is generally really well broadcasted, you know. So
good point.
Enough stuff out there for people to see that I think it's, you know, to have those engage those discussions, or to start off, you know, people discussing, I don't know, this tire versus that tire, 2-stroke versus 4-stroke, blah blah blah. There's no reason not to do that. Like, it happens in every other sport that you see. So for me, like, you guys doing this is just kind of another step in the direction of the sport growing.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks. I really appreciate it. And for us, it's, I mean, we're not getting the hundreds of thousands of views that you can expect on your channels and stuff, but we try to put in the effort and make it worthwhile. And we've somewhat got a community behind us, you know, really keen to see what we're talking about, if it's just us in the studio, or if it's speaking to guys like you or Mario or Graham, just to hear what, I mean, you know, Graham, just to get to hear what they have to say. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I watched, like I say, I think we're lucky. There's a lot of stuff gets put out from our sport for its size, and I watch just about everything that gets put out there anyway. Like, I need to keep my eye on things and what's popular, what's not, what's heading in the right direction, what's not. Like, I'm lurking just about everywhere, don't worry.
What I wanted to find out is, what is your thoughts about your future inside the sport of hard enduro and super enduro? Like, do you plan to ever like set up a training school, trying to get more youth involved, or start your own team? Or I guess it's the kind of like continuing with YouTube or social media. What are your plans for the future, you know?
That's a good question. Just fully depends on what side of the bed I get out, because some days and my mind goes pretty mad with ideas of things I want to do, or I'm pretty kind of all over the place. Like, I feel like I'm quite lucky in terms of I've surrounded myself in a place now where I feel like I have a lot of support to kind of be free with what I want to do. Like, for the immediate future, like I want to 100% continue racing, doing what I'm doing, and I have goals I want to achieve. And then further down the line, I don't know, to be honest, like I say, I mean, racing is my priority now, and the videos, YouTube, all that side of stuff, to me, it's just like, however much that can grow in the background is just a bonus for one day. I do feel like that will probably overtake the racing side of my priority levels. Like I said, I think I'm definitely a few years off that being the case, but I enjoy that side of it and how much it can grow in the background. Like, I do also definitely like the idea of working with the young riders or doing something along that lines. Like, I'm unsure in what kind of capacity I would want to do something because, yeah, like I say, I mean, if I did something, I would want to be kind of 100% invested into doing it. But I feel like it's kind of pointless if not. But yeah, I mean, it's tricky to look too far down the line. I feel like I've got a lot of ideas swirling around my head. Like some days I wake up and just think, oh, let's just fuck this off and go make videos and just make cool stuff. And then some ways I'm like, no, let's race. I want to win this race. I want to win that race. I want to do this. Like it's I mean, to make any claims now is far too difficult. But I think ultimately, like I've been around motorbikes, whether it be trials, enduro, my whole life. I'm never going to be kind of too far away from it, whether it be racing side, team side, turning up and just putting a camera in people's faces. If people are going to still enjoy watching my vlogs in 10 years time, maybe not, maybe people are bored of it by then. Like I think I'm quite aware of, or like I feel like I'm quite aware of kind of sticking with the times or trying to do something which is gonna, I'm not gonna continue if it's pointless. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. It's a difficult question to give a specific answer, but I don't think I'll ever be too far away doing something.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're so involved in everything and like keeping up to date with it and so motivated and driven. I'm pretty sure that if it didn't work, you would adjust it to make it work, and it would probably be quite a success. Yeah,
a much better way of putting what I was actually trying to say. To be honest, like I feel like I'm not going to be far away, but I will have figured out what's kind of going to work, if that makes any sense. But yeah, you've just put it considerably better than I did.
Anyways, Billy, shot for coming onto the podcast. It's been such a treat chatting to you, and really keen to see you at some of the races next year, and really looking forward to see what you can do outdoors on the two-stroke in the 25 season. Let's go.
That's the plan. Thank you for having us. Been a pleasure. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things will stay as they are now. I'm just really trying to build momentum because it's been so long since I've had momentum outdoors. So that's the plan, and hopefully we'll see you all at a race soon.